Greetings, Periscope. Greetings, YouTube at Radio Don 1. Greetings to anyone who's on Twitch at Radio Don 55. So, here is where we stand and where I stand. It's like the list of people falling to COVID 19 almost on a daily basis is rather frightening. Whatever level of cavalierness I may have had is gone. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not admitting that, but this is real. Is real for where I am in Canoga Park, California. Last week, I was touting the fact that we had only had about 4 people who had contracted COVID-19. That was last week. This week, we're up to 14. Now, still, in terms of numbers, it's not the entire 41,000 population, still and all, with increased testing and just people just getting sick and all. That number is growing, and they're saying that within the next 2 weeks, that number, all of the numbers are going to explode. I don't know why people want to scare you to death, but apparently they're doing a pretty good job of it. There's been a lot of confusing talk about whether or not you should wear a face mask and stuff like that. And I have a few of those face masks, I mean. Now they're saying that we all should be using some sort of face covering. Now, basically, we're talking about things like a regular surgical mask or something that is being you can put together on the fly, like say turning a diaper into a face mask. Hopefully, not a used one. That would bring a lot of problems in and of itself. But you should wear some sort of face covering so if you don't have it, it'll sort of like increase the chances of you not getting it. And B, if you have it, you pretty much increase the chances that you won't give it to somebody else with all the droplets and the spray stuff and whatever. Here in Los Angeles, our numbers are still, in terms of deaths and people who have contracted it, still relatively low to the numbers in New York City. Worldwide, we have about 1 million people who have contracted it. Not everyone is dying of it. I think that's very important to note that not everyone is dying of it. You're going to get very sick, but not everyone is dying. Yes, the numbers are going up, and yes, it's scary, especially as I'm crossing the 65-year-old Rubicon in the next 2 weeks myself. But it's very important to note that what we are doing in terms of things like social distancing and self-quarantining and things like that, we are making it more likely that things will not get as bad as a lot of people say. People are saying that the peak of all this for a lot of people around the country may very well be sometime in the next 2 or 3 weeks, which, when you think about it, is encouraging because we're thinking that this may very well last for some time. Now, there are uh, questions about whether you do this or that could help you out in terms of not getting it or preventing getting it, or if you do get it, it's not going to be as bad. I have a friend who insists on taking a vitamin C and B12, and she is a bit of a health nut, but then you're listening to well known, well respected news organizations, and they're talking about taking vitamin C and B3 and D3 and all these other vitamin vegetable soups. And we realize that we don't know nothing. The experts don't know nothing. The people in Washington certainly don't know nothing. And here we are, and we don't know anything. This is different than anything we've ever dealt with before. We don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know if you or I will make it to tomorrow. It's that different than anything else that we've ever had to deal with. It's not the flu, it's something different. And we've had to deal with that. Now, as some of you know, I am what they call in Britain a light sleeper. And I kind of mentioned the last time that there was good news on that front. And I'm hoping that we can get this thing taken care of before this thing shows up at my door. The chances of me getting a new apartment in the next several weeks at the earliest has been better than they have been in the last 20 years. And I am working with some wonderful people along those lines, and we're going back and forth, and I'm asking questions and things like that. These are things that a person should do when they're in that situation, and hopefully within the next few, I will have some good news to tell you. It's kind of weird to watch late night television now. And instead of big bands and fancy sets, people are doing these things from their homes. As a matter of fact, a lot of people are doing things like news broadcasts, actualities, things like that from their homes. And I'm looking, and I've noticed that a lot of these people who work for MSNBC and Fox bring home a pretty nice paycheck. If the homes that I'm looking at are any evidence to that. As for my own health myself, I've been up a lot. I'm exposed to the elements, and that's never good. That's one of the reasons why I'm hoping that I can get things squared away. But I am not having anything like a prolonged cough. I'm not having anything along the lines of extreme hacking. I'm not throwing up blood or anything like that. My forehead is rather cool. And I'm in a place where I can pretty much stay to myself. It is the closest thing I can do to to do self quarantining than I can imagine right now. And this is just me just letting you know what's going on. Um, and my suggestion, I've always encouraged people to get on YouTube or get on any of the live streams like Facebook Live, like uh, Periscope. Now we can include uh, Twitch and other live streaming opportunities. To do it yourself. It doesn't take a lot, and if I can do it, you can do it. I really think it's incumbent upon all of us to cough up the courage and do your own daily or uh, weekly or every other day journal about what's going on where you are. Because when this thing is over, people are going to be looking for some sort of chronicle of the things that have happened. And I'd like to think that some of us will be telling the story of this rather unusual time. We've never had an opportunity like this before. And I'm just hoping that you take advantage of it. Not just watching this, not just following us by hitting the red button on YouTube or following us on Twitter and Periscope, following us on Twitch and all the other places where I am. But basically, do this yourself. I mean, uh, the uh, the software I'm using is something called Studio, Prism Live Studio. You will probably see something about that at the very end of this video. It's Prism Live Studio. With that, you can broadcast on a lot of platforms. Now, I know if you're well versed in YouTube um, stuff, you know that you can't really do a live stream from the YouTube app until you've reached 1,000 subscribers and a certain amount of watch time, and that is happening. We are really close to that ourselves, about 13 or 14. We need people to sign up on this so we can do a lot of the things that we really want to do in terms of getting messages out and things like that. I like to do this before I die, really. But everyone should be able to find some platform and chronicle what you're doing, how you're living, and things like that. You see a lot of celebrities talk about their confinement and things like that. A lot of the usual YouTube people. Why not you? And you're probably not going to make any money off of it, but you're going to add to the discussion. You will add to the history that's being made right now. And maybe, when people see the history, they'll probably say, maybe we should do this differently the next time this happens. And there will be a next time. It may not be as bad as this. Hell, it could be worse. But there is going to be a next time. And you have the opportunity to make and chronicle history yourself by finding an app, point the camera to yourself, or maybe not. Maybe you don't want to be seen on a nationwide TV or nationwide cell phone. use the camera that points outward. But chronicle this. Show people what is going on in your life while something like this is happening. I think it's your duty. Whether you do it or not, that's up to you. But that's something I'd like for you to do. That's something I would like many of our several hundred followers on YouTube and Periscope / Twitter, Prism, Twitch. We're working on some way to do this from here on Facebook, but don't let that stop you. You can go on Facebook right now and start talking. There's even a provision on Facebook where you can just talk and you don't have to show a face. It's called live audio. And there are many videos on how to accomplish that. I just want more people to start talking. And as you are in your houses for an appreciable amount of time, maybe this is the time you can start. Okay. One last thing I want to talk about. I was angry today, happy and angry at the same time. I found out that somebody dropped $144 into my account, and I've been talking about when are we going to get the checks, the $1,200 checks that I was promised that I would be getting without filing anything because I'm getting Social Security and things like that. And they will probably send it the way that I've been receiving it, my monthlies. Come to find out that because this is my birth month, I am receiving the last little $4 or $5 of whatever was allotted to me for 2019-2020. And now my next fiscal year is starting at 2021. So I will probably get my regular. And maybe before I pass away and walk away from this vale of tears, get that $1,200. We'll keep you posted. Once again, if you are on YouTube watching this on the replay, please do click on the red button to subscribe and then click all notifications with the bell. You will get, there are two choices, actually three. One is none. Another is personalized, which means you might get some, you may not get other notifications. All notifications means that whatever I do, you'll know when we do it. Also, even though I may or may not get something from the federal government, your support is critical, especially right now. All you got to do is just go to paypal.me/RadioDon. That's paypal.me/RadioDon. You can send $5, $10, $20. And we are going to be redoing the Patreon, so you can go ahead and do that. We don't have a lot of things to give out as perks, but if you can go in there and say, hey, every month I can give $5, $10, $20, I'll be a very happy man. And that's it. We are almost at 20 minutes. I'm amazed. I just I went that long and still was lucid. Have yourself a good evening. We'll talk again later in the week.